Hey everybody, I'm Jesse, and welcome to another edition of Gen X Thinks. And today I'm going to talk about capitalism versus socialism. And I'm going to say a couple things right off the bat that are going to piss a lot of people off. Number one, capitalism sucks. Number two, socialism sucks. Number three, capitalism's awesome. Number four, socialism's awesome. All those things are true. Whether you believe it or not, it doesn't matter how you've been taught, what you believe right now. If you actually do some research and look into it, you'll find out that all those things are awesome. And how can they be, though? They're all opposite. Well, that's what this video is going to be about. I'm going to explain it. And it just takes common sense, really. A lot of this stuff in the world is just propaganda and indoctrination. And once you start looking into it, that's all it is. The governments around the world, they do this stuff in order to get us to believe certain things so that we will not buck and raise hell when they want to do something. If they want to start a war, they get us believing a certain thing. I mean, that's pretty much, it's as simple as that. So, why does capitalism suck? Well, capitalism sucks, and it sucks right now because it's been corrupted. It's been corrupted by greed, by monopolies, by power with power. Now, the capitalism in this day and age is completely inverted into the opposite of what it's supposed to be about, what it was originally. Now, capitalism is about a strong middle class and relatively wealthy, especially compared to today and times prior. But a wealthy, strong middle class, a few rich people and a few poor people, but a very strong middle class that is the backbone of the country. Now, we had that for a while in the 20th century. And we were the strongest, most prosperous, best educated nation on the planet. That's a fact. And then the greed and corruption took over, and we've been going downhill since. So why does socialism suck? Socialism sucks for the same reason, because once you get a ruling class, a powerful class of people, and they will just suck all the power and resources away from the masses, because they don't want to lose that power, and they don't want to lose all that wealth. They don't want to share it with the masses. So you can't do that. You can't allow, in either situation, capitalism or socialism, you can't allow the power to be transferred to a top few people. They don't want to lose the power. They'll do anything to keep it, and that's just a sad trait of humans. Now, none of us can actually say that we would get all that power and money and stuff and then just walk away from it, because we've never had it. We've never been in that situation. We don't know what we would do. There have been a couple of people throughout history that have done it. One of them was a Roman during the Roman Empire. I forget his name. One of y'all can probably put it in the comments for me, but he actually became emperor, basically, for a short time in order to fight off some invaders or something, and then he just turned the power back to the Senate or whoever, the people or whatever, and then he went back to his farm. And he was very famous for that. because he could have just remained emperor. The people would have wanted him to remain emperor, but he said, no, I'm not going to do it. The other one that I know of is George Washington, because the people wanted him to be king. They just wanted him to stay in there until he died. You're doing great. You're awesome. Just stay there. And he said, nope, I'm not going to do it. That's not what this is about. And he walked away from it. And that's why, and he set that precedent for 2 terms, 8 years, and then you leave. So those are the only 2 people that I know of who have had the moral strength, the willpower to walk away from that kind of power. And whether those stories are true or not, I don't know. It's just what I've learned about history, and history is something somebody else wrote. So that's one thing I've learned in my old age, is that everything I learn is something that someone else told me. Almost everything. Very few things have I gone out into the universe, into the world, and learned for myself and found out and learned for myself. Why is capitalism awesome? Well, capitalism is awesome because in its purest form, it gives everybody equal opportunity to excel. Doesn't matter about any of your birth, who were your parents, if they were rich or well-bred or nobility or any of that stuff. Everyone's on equal footing, and if you have a good idea and you have the work ethic, you can rise to the top. All right? Pure capitalism. Now, pure capitalism also, in the middle, the working class, the best rise to the top. Your hardest working, you put in the most effort, you rise. It all depends on how much effort you're willing to put into it. You don't have to do anything, and you can lay around and go hungry if you want, but if you want to rise to the top, it's just about effort, determination. Even you don't have to be the smartest in the world. All you have to do is be determined and put in the work. Now, intelligence and all these other things play into it. And that's pure capitalism. Pure capitalism is about the companies competing against each other and keeping wages high and prices low, prices for their goods. Now, capitalism isn't about monopolies. That's not capitalism, which is a lot of what we have now. Disney buying up all these other movie studios, Microsoft buying up all these other gaming companies and all this stuff. Hell, in the last 20 years, I lost count of how many game companies Microsoft has bought. They're just they own half of the industry damn near, something like that. It's insane. Monopolies are not part of the capitalistic idea. These companies are supposed to compete against each other. Not one gets so big that it buys up the rest of them and then all competition is gone and they set the price. That's not capitalism. And that's what we have today, a twisted, mutated form of capitalism that couldn't even be called capitalism, really, shouldn't be anyway, but we call it capitalism, and it makes everyone hate capitalism. If they lived during a time when capitalism was pure, they wouldn't think that. They wouldn't say that. This is capitalism being destroyed by the powerful and the greedy. And we're at the tail end of that destruction. It's almost completely gone. And the same thing about socialism. Why is socialism so good? Why do people keep talking about socialism? Isn't it the most horrible thing ever? And I'd say the same thing. I don't know why, but it's reversed with socialism. When people think of socialism, they want to think about the pure socialism, the idealistic socialism. When people want to think about capitalism, they want to think about the corrupted, bloated, almost completely changed capitalism. They're not talking about the pure capitalism. But when they think about socialism, they want to think about the pure socialism. Okay, the pure socialism is everyone is equal. Everyone has the same amount, and it's wonderful. There are no poor. Like with capitalism, you have a few a few rich, a big, wealthy, strong middle class, and a few poor. That's just the way it works out. Now, with socialism, you've got ruling class, the government, and everybody else is supposed to be middle class. That's not how it works out. But in the pure socialist ideal, that's how it's supposed to be. Everybody's supposed to be middle class except for the government, and they're supposed to be these altruistic caretakers that make sure everybody's got everything that they need and everything's distributed equally and all this. And that would be great if people weren't ruling. But people are greedy, manipulative, completely selfish creatures. And that's a fact. And when you put them in power over other people, they take advantage of it every single time. History has shown us this. The present has shown us this. It's never going to change. That's the way it is. You have to try to keep as much freedom as you can and keep capitalism or socialism as pure as it can be for as long as it can be. And that's why it's a constant revolving circular pattern, because people get free, right? Then they get lax and they start wanting socialism and all this stuff. They start caring for the poor. So then they put people in charge and they get socialist or communist or whatever. And then people hate that shit because it sucks so bad. And they want to be free, so then they fight a revolution, and then they become free, and then it's a circle like that. And it's been like that since probably way before the Roman Empire. That's our lot. That's the human lot. Because humans get power, they get corrupted, they take advantage of the people get pushed to the point where they have to stand up and push back. That people get freedom, then, you know what I mean? It's that same circle over and over again. And it probably will never end. But I digress. Now, why does capitalism suck? Capitalism sucks because you can get so rich and so powerful, like Microsoft, Amazon, these companies we're seeing who are just, then they've got companies above them that are just so rich that Microsoft and Amazon look like small potatoes, look like penny stocks, right? BlackRock, Vanguard, they own most of Microsoft and Amazon, all these big companies. These are the companies that actually own them, own the majority of stock in these companies. But anyway, so you get these huge companies, they take over, they start paying off the politicians, buying off politicians, and creating these monopolies, crushing all competition. And that's what happens. And that's where we're at now. And then everybody starts to hate capitalism. Oh, capitalism's the worst thing ever. It's Satan. It's the worst. Corrupted and bloated capitalism is. Yes. And that's where we're at now. But this isn't actually capitalism. Just like the socialist countries aren't actually socialism. They're corrupted, bloated, rotting versions of these really noble ideals. So that's what's wrong with capitalism. Greed and lust for power have these people at the tops of these companies start controlling things and swaying the politics and getting involved in our politics. That's why I keep talking about lobbying. Why lobbying is allowed in any way is just mind-boggling to me. And I've had people get in the comments and defend lobbying. I don't think the good outweighs the bad at all. It's not even close. The good is minuscule compared to the bad that's being done to our country, to our world, by the lobbying. These billionaires being able to get in there and have the same influence as 10 states of population just because they've got that much money. Each individual should have the same amount of influence on our government, no matter how much money they have. One person, one vote, that's it. To be able to pay these politicians all this money to buy votes and shit through lobbying is just disgusting, in my opinion. And that's one of the worst things about capitalism. Why is socialism so bad? Why does socialism suck? Why isn't it supposed to be everybody get the same amount and it all be wonderful and all of us have iPhone 35s with, that wipe our asses for us and all this stuff and nobody in the gutter and all this stuff? Yeah, that's how it's supposed to be. But just like capitalism, people get power and money and control of it, and then the entire population is screwed because there isn't a stratosphere, a stratified layer of population in socialism. So you don't have a part of the population that are, pretty well off. They're millionaires, you would call them millionaires. You don't have those in socialism. So nobody has the resources to fight against the oppression. Nobody has the voice. Nobody can start a business to promote free speech. Nobody can do this. Nobody has the resources to fight against it. So that's why socialism is so bad once it gets to that past that tipping point. Socialism on paper sounds wonderful. Everybody gets the same. Yeah, everybody gets the same until the people in power get greedy and corrupt, right? And then what everybody gets the same of is nothing. So everybody's equally starving. Everybody's equally in the gutter. Everybody's equally, instead of everybody having iPhone 35s, everybody goes back to landlines and eating porridge, their bowl of gruel every day, while the corrupt are up there, the powerful, the rich, they're up there on top eating caviar and salmon and, playing golf every day and all this, while the rest of the entire population is lower middle class, just basically slave labor. And but that's why it's so horrible, because there is no one with the resources to push back against it. When you're in that position, when your country is in that position, there's nobody with the resources to start a company or push back. It's game over. It's revolution time. That's it. So if you think about it, on paper, the idealistic versions of capitalism and socialism, they both have their merits. They both have their good points. It's after they get corrupted by the rich and the ultra greedy and the powerful, and they start manipulating the poor, the masses. That's when it starts getting bad. And how you can curtail that in either one, because I think if it was done right, most people would be happy in either system if it was done correctly. But it'll never be done correctly. It just never will, because people are cruel, greedy, power-hungry, corruptible creatures. And I'll leave you with that. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and comment. If you'd like to support the channel, you can do so by clicking on that super thanks button down there. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Or you can become a member of Gen X Thinks, and I'll put that link down in the description, or you can do so by going over to the channel page. You can also support the channel by going over to Buy Me a Cup of Coffee and buy me a cup of coffee. I'll put that link down in the description. If you're interested in Gen X gear, I'll put that link down in the description as well. We've got some cool stuff over there. Gen X Thinks and Gen X branded t-shirts, coffee mugs, stickers, stuff like that. If you don't want to or can't support the channel in any of those ways, you can always do so by sharing these videos on your social media. Thank you very much for those of you who do that. I sincerely appreciate it. If you have any ideas for future episodes of Gen X Thinks, please put those down in the comments, or you can email us, and the email's over on the channel page. And as always, stay frosty, Gen X, and I'll see you on the next one.